Welcome to Should a Dad Play, the show where we review video games and, in this case, accessories from a dad's perspective. My name is Irizarry, and this is the review for the PlayStation Portal. If you enjoy reviews like this, consider subscribing and interacting with this video. This product and review are not sponsored by PlayStation, and we've purchased the product with our own funds, so your support is greatly appreciated. Now, let's get started with the review of the PlayStation Portal. It's not too common that PlayStation provides a handheld console for us to play all of our favorite titles. In 2023, that hasn't changed. The PlayStation Portal is not a handheld console. Instead, this accessory, yes, it's an accessory meant to be utilized in unison with the PlayStation 5 console, provides an easy alternative to playing your games, given you have a stable and fast enough connection to keep those things afloat. For this review, I'm going to be spreading things out in 4 different categories, actually 5 different categories. We're going to be talking about the comfort, the ease of use, performance, battery life, and compatibility. At the end of the review, I'm also going to be giving you the best way to test your network to see if your network is strong enough to maybe just purchase this product. And I'm also going to be talking about the games that I played during the review period. That way, you kind of have a sense of what I tested and what games I tested and what the reaction time to those games were in comparison to what you may be interested in playing. Anyways, let's get right on to this review. So let's begin with the comfort for this review. To begin, let's describe what the product is. I think that would be a great starting point. The Portal is an accessory to the PS5, as we've mentioned before. The ideal demographic is those having to share a TV or would like to play their PS5 away from their console. On paper, something that is perfect for dads like us. But with a market where we can utilize our phones, which we all have, or other alternatives to include accessories like the backbone, it makes you wonder if the $199 price tag is worth it. The Portal gives you an 8-inch 1080p LCD display. It is not an OLED display, but despite that, it is easily the best remote playing screen alternative I've utilized. The Portal also provides the feel of a DualSense controller, given that that's essentially what you get. On each side of the LCD screen, you're getting a DualSense controller that was split in half, giving you access to all the PlayStation buttons found on your standard DualSense controller to include the haptic feedback. In terms of the touchpad, however, your screen will serve that purpose. You'll have 2 little touchpad on the touch screen, little icons. So once you tap on your touch screen, you'll see those touchpad icons appear, and then you tap it again. The best way to use them is just to double tap real quick on your screen. That way it's as close to using the touchpad on your controller as possible. But like I mentioned before, there are some changes to the controller. Obviously, the touchpad is one of them. The placement of the PlayStation button and the size of the thumbsticks are the biggest differences you'll find on this controller. They're bigger, the thumbsticks themselves, they're bigger than the ones on the PSVR 2, but smaller than the ones on the standard DualSense controller, making it better than using the analogs of the backbone. Or for a better comparison, and I'm not trying to compare these 2 consoles together, I'm just trying to compare the analogs, better but bigger as well than the thumbsticks on the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. In terms of what it feels like to hold, I know you've seen other reviews around there. It is quite literally the same exact thing as holding a DualSense controller, except your grip is going to be, your arm is going to be widened out, right, because of the screen. But other than that, it is not too heavy. The view from the screen from multiple angles is surprisingly good. Another surprise is how the screen looks while playing outside, but more on outside play later because I did have a segment where I did play outside. Ultimately, the comfort of this accessory is a significant plus in comparison to every other remote player in competition, which in this case would be your phone, your tablets, maybe your laptops, and just holding your own DualSense. So in terms of comfort, I would argue the comfort of this device for what it is for remote playing your PlayStation games is by far the best experience I've had with any of the other remote playing setups I've done before. Coming up next is going to be the ease of use. So on initial setup, I'm sure some may worry about this device. It doesn't necessarily take a long time to set up, but it isn't instant when you first, bring it out of the box and start connecting it. The reason for that is, 1, you have to set up your network. 2, you're going to have about 3 software updates. It's going to be 1 for the system itself, and then I guess 1 for each side of the DualSense controller, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to take a second, and then your initial connection to the console will take a little bit. It'll almost seem like it's not connecting, but in reality, it only takes like 10 to 15 seconds for it to connect the first time. After that, it's really easy to do so. So again, once you're done with the initial setup and you set this device down, picking it back up and connecting to your PS5 is quick and easy to do. You literally wake the device up, press the X button to connect to your PS5. If you have multiple PS5s in your household, lucky you, you'll be able to select which console to remote play on, and then you're ready to go. It's near instant pick up and play, given your PS5 is in rest mode or already on. In terms of options, you don't have many with this device. You can adjust the brightness settings, the sound, the controller features. Outside of that, you really won't find a lot of options to do with this thing other than what's advertised playing remotely. I did encounter one hiccup, which I'm sure will be corrected, and it's whenever I played local co-op games with this device, and yes, I tried this with my son, and this is another part of the review we're going to get to in a second, the remote play connected message was stuck displayed on both the monitor my son was playing on and on my portal. This continued until we logged him off of the console, and then the message disappeared. And now let's talk about performance, because the performance is the biggest question mark with this accessory. You can either have an exceptional experience with non-lag plays time and all that stuff, or you can have a suboptimal one. And this is all, however, totally dependent on the connection environment you are utilizing. PlayStation recommends a home Wi-Fi, and although you can use a network outside of your home or a network that your PS5 isn't on as well, so long as both networks are reliable and fast enough, you'll be able to use this product. I'll break down my experience because it greatly varied depending on what approach I went with. I tested 3 different scenarios for this, and all 3 were different setups. So I could make this device run as smooth as butter, or I can make it run extremely bad. So if you're seeing any reviews online or any videos online, you may need to question what their setup looks like, because I think that would answer a lot of the questions in regard to why are they having that many issues, right? So in scenario A, the first scenario, my PS5 was connected to the internet via Wi-Fi. My portal was on the same Wi-Fi connection, which for reference, I'm going to put the speeds up on the screen, and I was utilizing my Netgear Nighthawk AX5400 Wi-Fi 6 router. The reason why that's important is, for some people have been saying Wi-Fi 6, I'm just giving you reference, that way it's as transparent as possible. In this scenario, my portal displayed noticeable pixelation, and there was input lag. In comparison, so did my iPhone 15 Pro Max with the backbone and my iPad Pro with a DualSense controller. I also experienced a disconnect about 30 minutes into my test. When stress testing, by attempting to download an update on my PS5 while on remote play, it was totally unplayable. I struggled to stay connected, whereas my iPhone 15 Pro Max would stay connected, but was still unplayable. Ultimately, in this scenario, you could technically play your games, albeit in a pixelated fashion with some input lag, given you're not downloading anything on your PS5. So in this scenario, if sustaining your connection, I would limit the titles that you're playing to turn-based RPGs. Now, scenario B, my PS5 was connected to the Ethernet port, so a LAN connection, to that same Netgear Nighthawk AX5400 Wi-Fi 6 router. And here are the network tests for reference for my PS5 once that was plugged in directly. And in this situation, my portal was connected to the same Wi-Fi. So again, my portal, nothing changed. It was connected the same way to scenario B. My PS5 this time was just connected to LAN. I did not lose connection at all under this test, and I was able to play multiplayer titles relatively competitively for my skill level, of course. So you will notice a little bit of your response time needing to be adjusted, but it's so little. I'll add a slow motion clip here for you to see how minute it is. But ultimately, I was able to play fighting games like Dragon Ball FighterZ. I was able to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I played all these titles online as well. Now, for Dragon Ball FighterZ, and this is a good way to kind of break it down for those that like fighting games, the difference here with playing with the portal as opposed to just playing on your console, just picture you have to add like an extra frame or two to your input. That's it. An extra frame or two, which for those that are fighting game enthusiasts know that means a whole lot. But for any other game, it really doesn't. It really does not for any other game other than fighting games. So an extra frame or two, and that's the difference there. Now, I did try to attempt playing MLB The Show 2023. I tried hitting a Bob Gibson 103 mile per hour fastball on ranked play. I couldn't hit the 103 mile per hour fastball, and I play a lot of MLB The Show. But I did hit anything up to 100 miles per hour relatively normally when playing MLB The Show. In comparison to my iPhone 15 Pro Max, it was easier to play the higher response time titles like MLB The Show, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Dragon Ball Fighters, just because of the screen size and the comfort of the controller. Whereas on the iPhone, I couldn't really make out the screen. I mean, sure, it's a pretty decent screen, but the way it's cropped up when you're doing the remote play app, it doesn't utilize the full screen to its maximum potential. So again, I would have to lean towards the Portal in this situation just because of the comfort, the way you hold on to your controller, and the screen size. Also note, I don't think it matters. If I'm being honest, I don't have any data that suggests it does. But when I turned off my PS5, the monitor to my PS5, the one where the HDMI is connected to, or switching the input to like a different channel or something, I did notice a quicker response from the Portal. Like it felt like there was less lag on it. Now, could it be a placebo effect? Maybe. Is it because I'm not looking at both screens at the same time? Maybe. I'm not sure. But again, in that scenario, when I turned off my device and like the TV, I felt like I did better. But I mean, that's just me. Now, in this scenario B, I would play any title expecting not to be as good in online play as like being, directly to your PS5, but I would still enjoy it and I would play absolutely every single title under this scenario. Now, the final scenario I tried and tested was scenario C, where my PS5 was connected to the internet via LAN in the same router. However, this time my Portal was connected to my mobile hotspot on my phone or other networks outside my phone. And honestly, with this setup, it is totally dependent on what network you're connected to on the Portal, because you have a stable connection given that, your numbers match and they're good on your PS5. So your PS5 is totally fine. Now it's just totally dependent on your new connection. So here it was all over the place. At times my mobile hotspot was pretty good and I can play my games pretty well, play online like Call of Duty, but not as fluid as with scenario B. But it could be as bad as I just can't connect at all. So in this scenario, both on your mobile hotspot and an outside network Wi-Fi, it is totally dependent on that new network that you're working on. Also, it's an important note, the PlayStation Portal does not have a built-in browser. Therefore, if you're trying to connect to public Wi-Fi that requires you to log in, such as some hotels, restaurants, or airports, you simply won't be able to as of right now because they'll usually require you to sign into it. I can see a software update coming through for the Portal allowing this to be done, seeing as though there's some menus that act like mini browsers within the Portal, like for your terms of service and whatnot. So I can maybe see this in the future getting some sort of patch where you can do this. But as of right now, you're limited in that area of those networks. And again, to wrap it up in this scenario C, I would limit my games to single player games, trophy hunting, and a completionist approach rather than trying to go play competitively online. Now, another thing I tested while playing for performance reasons, of course, was local co-op. And I haven't seen a lot of people play local co-op. Now, here's the thing. You are mirroring your screen, right? So any split screen game, which would have been great, but it's not yet. Any split screen game that you play on your Portal will still have the split screen. However, if there's a future update that would allow you to, split those screens off into two different screens, one for your actual TV and then another one for your Portal, I'm telling you, this would gain a whole lot of value. But as of right now, it is just mirroring your screen. So I did play a lot of local co-op games. I did play the Dragon Ball Fighters with my son, played Mortal Kombat, not with my son, but with my wife. Played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, played Sackboy's Adventure, played a bunch of games, and it was all really fun. Now, I can see this being very convenient for those that might have a smaller like apartment space and want to play with their significant other. Maybe the significant other wants to go to the other bedroom and the setup, the gaming setup is like on a small desk or something, and y'all want to be split. I can see that working just fine. Again, during my local co-op play, nothing dropped. Having more players on the local device, like, more controllers connected, did not give me any more lag or anything like that. Again, more things happening on the screen didn't give me any more lag or anything like that. It was just the same, in this case, like scenario B I mentioned before, where everything was on optimal conditions. It was just as smooth as plain butter, and it was great because I could walk around the house if I needed to, or I can let my son sit in my desk, and that was his gaming space for the bit. You know what I mean? So again, this is something to take in mind if you're trying to look at your situation and whether or not it would apply to you. This is a good one to test, and I tested it and it was great. Now, ultimately, for me, the performance is exactly what I was looking for in the Portal, and it allows me to continue to make progress in my games without being tethered to my desk or living room. Although my wife would probably not appreciate me playing in bed, it is a compromise with me at least being in bed. So that is a step in the right direction. And for those of you that share a similar situation, you can justify $199 there. So now let's talk about battery life. Straight out of the box, you're prompted with an approximately 10-minute setup process, which includes downloading the 3 updates I mentioned before. And I didn't plug in my device when I pulled it out of the box. I went straight into testing with the device until it powered off on me, of course. When I played it, once I updated it and everything, I played approximately for 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I played titles like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Persona 5, Alan Wake 2, and Assassin's Creed Mirage. On a fully charged battery, I logged closer to 5 hours of playtime before I needed to revisit that USB-C cable for my juice. Honestly, the battery life on this thing is impressive given that the DualSense controller more or less has the same battery life, right? And this one over here has a screen on it. So there is, in my opinion, a little bit of an increase, or I don't know if it's optimization. I don't know what it is, but it is a little bit better than the DualSense controller just because you do have a screen. But if you wanted to compare them one for one, you're probably going to get approximately the same amount of battery life out of the two, out of a regular DualSense controller and your Portal. Now, for compatibility, this is another potential issue with the Portal. The Portal does not feature any Bluetooth connectivity, rendering all of your current PlayStation headsets or wireless earbuds useless for this product. Instead, you can utilize a tethered headset or earbuds through an auxiliary port in the back of the handheld. Alternatively, you can use the new PlayStation Link, which is Sony's new proprietary technology for audio peripherals. But the downside is that the first 2 products which utilize the PlayStation Link have not been launched yet, and they're priced upwards of $150, essentially creating a larger barrier of entry. So again, for compatibility, that's going to be a very big issue on this device. But ultimately, let's go ahead and wrap up this review, right? Let's talk about should a dad play? Should a dad play the PS Portal? Well, yes, I think you should play the PlayStation Portal, with the little asterisk on that. Only if your network connection, your home network connection, is strong enough to support the two. And don't worry, I'll give you a way to test that. But in terms of reviewing the PlayStation Portal, us at Dad's XP are going to go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10. This is a great accessory for your PlayStation 5. And like I said, I do recommend you purchase one only if your network allows you to. Now, let's talk about how to test your network. And this was by far the best comparison I got under my conditions to kind of test whether or not this would be good. So I would utilize test scenario B for the PS5 setup, which is getting your PS5 on LAN. And then I would verify the speeds. I would test my remote play with my mobile device or tablet, running a quick response multiplayer title like Call of Duty or any fighting game. And if I like the results, I would suggest getting the Portal, because the Portal should make it a tad bit better than what was on your phone. But yeah, and also on top of that, you'll get the bigger screen, the comfort, and that DualSense feature on your controller. But yeah, the best way for me personally to test whether or not this could be a good device for you would be to get your PS5 hooked up on LAN, get it all tethered up and running directly through your Ethernet port, and then use your phone, your tablet, or anything like that, and run the remote play app and see if it all runs smoothly. If it does, you should probably be able to handle your PS Portal just fine at your home. Now, the games I played during this review period are Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Alan Wake 2, Persona 5, Assassin's Creed Mirage, MLB The Show 23, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Jak and Daxter The Precursor Legacy, Killzone Liberation, Fortnite, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Hogwarts Legacy, Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. That is it for today's review of the PlayStation Portal. This has been Should a Dad Play? My name is Paul Irizarry. And if you like this review, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Dad's XP as we purchase all our products with our own funds. And we're just dads like you trying to review games and let y'all know out of word of mouth whether or not something's worth your time. Until next time, take it easy.